Fit check. I'm going to my panel. Change the panel.
Hey Ben, want me to do it or I don't care? Whichever's best for you.
I've got some of the questions.
You do?
Yeah.
Excellent, very good. All right, I'm gonna hit the live button. We got a half an hour, actually, yeah, exactly 30 minutes.
Awesome, yeah. Thanks Ben and Ari for organizing this and everyone that's still here at the end of the third day after we played video games till 1 in the morning last night, which was awesome. I'm Aaron Basch, CEO and founder of SPARKET. We do social betting and really trying to help expand universe betting, and esports is a huge passion of mine, former gamer, and hope we can help with this industry as well. Let other folks introduce themselves.
Hey, I'm Slot Betty. I am a content creator, YouTuber, and I have a pretty interesting background in the gaming industry, and I'm so excited to be here.
Hi everybody, my name is Ben Bodziner. Pleasure to speak here. Thank you guys for having me. Work for US Integrity, which is a Las Vegas-based company that works with almost every major collegiate and professional sports league to provide integrity, monitoring, education on the spreading sports betting world. So very excited to be here.
Awesome. And so we're going to talk about influencers, which was a topic earlier. And I think the first thing we should talk about when we're talking about influencers is what is an influencer? And I know Sloppany has a great answer.
Yeah, an influencer is anybody that can influence the sphere of people they're around. The interesting thing is I've been an influencer officially about 18 years. Nintendo found me online. I had a very large playgroup spanning 3 states of over 800 women. And they found me through Meetup using a marketing agency in LA. And they were like, wow, you're perfect. We're looking for your scope of influence. We want to reach the mothers, we want to reach the children. We also want intergenerational families. So I reached out to my group and found more Nintendo influencers. And they used me for 7 years for 3 product launches, and it was fantastic. And influencing really wasn't a thing. Facebook really wasn't a thing. They didn't ask anything of me other than to do in-person events with my community, giveaway games. It was the time of my life when my kids thought it was just so fun. And so now my baby has grown up and he's going to college to make games. So we're a gaming family. And the secret is they didn't know, but my husband was a Sony architect. So we were making EverQuest at home, but I was keeping it secret.
Working for the enemy there. Yeah. So I think, we all see value in how you can use social media and influencers, but just an anecdote from my experience, one of the first times we had funds as the startup, we went and spent $10,000 on an influencer, and it was horrible. So, what are some key factors that determine a good influencer, good brand, how to use it correctly? I know both of you probably have some comments on that. Ben, you nod your head.
That's an interesting question because just to your point, influencers not necessarily have to be like a perfect speaking, no cursing, perfect, only complimenting the game. The way that the world's going, and streaming platforms is a major component of this in today's world, is an influencer can be someone who brutally honestly critiques the game so that there's improvements and then there's future ways to combat some of the issues that we see in the sports betting world, and some of the issues that we've seen in just video games and esports itself. I think one of the best examples I can think of, one of the major esports, League of Legends, they had a massive influencer by the name of Tyler One. Tyler One was a former influencer. He streamed to 10,000, 12,000 concurrent viewers. but he was brutally honest, and he critiqued some of the people at Riot Games, and they didn't take it very lightly, and they eventually banned him from playing League of Legends on any streaming service for over 2 years. It turned out to be a bit of a mistake for them. They kind of owned it, and now they work alongside Tyler One, and they make great content. So, things can change, and I'm not going to say Tyler One didn't cross the line a time or two, but it's really interesting to see that influencers are not just complimenting games; they're really just honestly telling their community what they think, and it seems to be a pretty positive trend.
Yeah, and he's back and bigger and buffer than ever too, which is great. I know with that in mind though, like there is an importance of getting the right influencer for your vertical. And I know you have some thoughts on that.
Definitely. I'm not for everybody. I'm like a niche market. I like to share what I like on my channel. I'm a vegan, and vegan is only 5%. So most of the time I do get hate, like eat a burger, and that's okay. I don't mind it. I know I'm a niche market. I'll be right for the right people. But I think that's where people pick up on my authenticity. So I just go with what I know.
And as someone that wants to hire an influencer potentially, how do you assess for that kind of realness, and just tossing in some numbers in there too. Sometimes people have fake accounts, so just that whole idea: is this a real person? Is this a real account? Do they have real influence? How do you kind of figure that out?
I don't think it's necessarily about online anymore. I think it'll never get away from your influence of who I am around right now. I think we did get away with the online, and you can easily boost things up, but it still gets back to you can't get away from how do you feel when you watch Slot Money? Do you feel like you connect, or do you hate her? Because sometimes your biggest fans are the people that don't like you, and they can't help but visit and just take, and they really still follow, even though they might not like you. So you're still influencing. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I guess, as we're trying to align folks with the casinos, what are some good, do's and don'ts in terms of, one, what influencers should do, and two, like what we should be bringing onto our property, being, mindful of age regulations and just other sensitivities there.
Well, I think we gotta keep up with the TikTok trends and not be scared of being embarrassing or having a TikToker do something a little stupid, because that is where people go to. We don't look at the phone book. We look at TikTok for a restaurant review, and we don't watch TV, we watch YouTube. So the YouTube and the TikTok is where people are looking at me going, I went to a restaurant and this is what I got. So we gotta remember, people really are influenced by anybody run-of-the-mill who might just put a camera up and share their opinion.
Yeah, and I think we were talking though, and you told me that one of your influencer friends was asked to leave a casino for that. So I don't know, Ben, if there's thoughts, like, are there things that, on the integrity side or the casino side that they don't want the influencers doing, or what are those flags?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's just like any other job, and the way the world looks. Social media is such a massive thing, and it is big now, but there's been it's been here for a while, and there's going through college, and you always hear the type of things like, oh, be careful what you post on social media. So I think it's a little. I think one of the don'ts is obviously everyone is entitled to their own opinion. We're in a great country with freedom of speech. It's just some of these massive opinions and associations you can have online can really hurt, a brand deal down the line, and maybe although your opinion might not be wrong in the popular opinion of most, that brand might not have share that opinion. So you might want to be careful of what you post on social media, and just the sheer really controversial topics is tough to really get some of those major brands on board with you in the future.
Yeah, and I think a topic came up maybe at this conference too about people are selling their picks and advice in terms of like bet on this sport, follow me, and you're gonna win money. And are there certain things that you think from the integrity side? Like, you know, I know there's a Sharp Rank, cool app that tracks how pundits are doing and things like that. Are there things like that where people could have some
Absolutely.
repercussions for giving bad advice? And I don't know, just kind of curious your thoughts on that.
Yeah, one of the big things that we track here at US Integrity is, you know, Discord channels that have what we call touting betting services. So, you know, a so-called expert of the field gives out a pick, and, you know, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of people could potentially tail and use that expert's opinion and bet on a certain thing. One thing that we track pretty closely is what's called a co-streamer. So, and something like Call of Duty League, they have the Call of Duty Activision accounts will stream the events, but they'll also have some of the former popular players. One of the big ones, Seth Abner, played for Optics. Optics Scumpy will get 15 to 20,000 concurrent viewers in his stream. And he, of course, he has his own opinion. He was a professional player for a decade or so. And, you know, some of those opinions are going to turn into some betting advice. And, you know, those are things that he doesn't even think about. But, you know, if he says, oh, I really like this play by Optic, someone can take that as betting advice. And if Optic loses that game, just by sheer, you know, that maybe that guy's not the right person to be betting, but they could be threatening someone for just making a totally innocent comment or statement. So absolutely, there's things that we track on this, and you know, these brands like Riot and Activision really have to be careful on who they allow to post it, because just like NBA, NFL, all these major leagues, when they have a product that's being viewed by people, it's on one channel, published by professionals, always. When you have a League of Legends game that is co-streamed by 10, 20 people, you don't know what kind of slip-ups you're going to get. You need professionalism at all time, and it's really tough to always have that and guarantee that. So a lot of these brands need to be very careful in who they kind of align themselves with, and you know, a lot of these mistakes are just totally innocent and really that were not even thought about by some of these brands and collabing with some of these co-streamers.
Definitely. Some of my friends that I just wanted to send a shout out to, hey, Vegas Low Roller, he's one of my buddies. He's one of the first YouTube slot influencers I met. He has 330,000 fans, and he was just brought on by Rampart Casino. So now, anywhere in Las Vegas you go, you can see billboards with Vegas Low Roller, and it's a seal of approval, Vegas Low Roller approved. And now I see him on the buses and the bus stops. So in Las Vegas, everybody now knows Vegas Low Roller, and his opinion really matters, and he doesn't just go for anything. Not only that, my other buddy, what up? Hey, Cowboy Slots, he has about 220,000 fans. Now I go to Shoshone Rose, they know how important he is, and they put in Cowboy Slots section, and it is all the slot machines that he plays on his channel and recommends. And you better believe, because I went there myself, I drove to Shoshone Rose. I drove there just to play the games he recommended. Not only that, I went to Arizona, and his favorite casino, I actually won a hand pay. So like, I followed it myself, and it pays off and it works. So look at your YouTube influencers.
Yeah, it's super interesting. And so when you say that, right, like how did they know, you know, it's like getting the seal of approval from the audience that this is a good machine. The audience trusts these influencers to give the casino that seal of approval. How can the casino work with and find those influencers to get that? Because that's, you know, that's what they want at the end of the day is, you know, if they have the influencers telling them, go play here at these games, you know, so how can casinos and other brands find those right influencers to connect with?
It's definitely seeing what floats to the top. You'll hear things like when I tag a video, people will always know I go to San Manuel, Yamava all the time, you know, so people are like, you're always there. So it would be very smart for Yamava to partner with us if if we already love it and our fans know that, it rubs off and they can tell. They can also tell if we're just doing something and we really don't care. So it really benefits us as well to pick something and partner with that is already an interest. Because our fans, our followers, they know the difference. They're not stupid.
And with all of that, and yesterday there was a panel talking about college athletes getting harassed from making an extra three-pointer. You're talking about the esports commentators and things that they're doing. Is there? I know in Call of Duty now they started putting like a ban filter if you cuss too much and things like that, right? Are there other things like that going on in the integrity world to kind of help these esport quasi-athlete type players?
Yeah, so one of the more popular trends that we're seeing in esports betting is in the micro stakes is what's called same game parlays and prop bets. And what those are I'll get more into prop bets. Prop bets are things that you can bet on in a game or in a match that won't fully affect the total outcome. So for example, in Call of Duty, you could potentially bet on a specific player to get a certain amount of kills or a certain amount of deaths, or for a game to last a certain amount of rounds, therefore not just the who's going to win this match. So that prop markets are something that is, potentially could be affected a bit more than the full market, because some of these athletes who don't really know the what they're doing and the kind of the negatives of what fixing a game could do, is they're thinking in the back of their head, oh, if I fix just a couple rounds, my team still has a chance. We're not directly losing the game on purpose, so it's not that big of a deal. That is simply not the case. It's almost worse, because you're not seeing it for the full game. It's harder to monitor. It's harder to track from an integrity perspective. So yeah, there's definitely different things that you can totally manipulate without affecting the outcome. And just to your point on the extra three that I was trying to discuss yesterday, one of the massive things in esports and just sports in general is the constant harassment of the athletes. Whether they win, they can win the match, and still people are pointing they didn't win by enough, or they lost the match and people said, oh, you should have played better. Some of the stuff is extremely disheartening. As we know from an esports specific, the age for some of these athletes is much younger than some of the professionals you see, 25 to 30. So it's really a tough thing to combat with the mental health aspect of it. And one thing we do at US Integrity is we have something called Athlete Alert, which if we partner with you, if we partner with an esport, a client, a league, anything, it gives the athletes a totally anonymous way to kind of express their frustrations, to provide examples of how they're getting harassed and how this is not okay. And just like everything, things are changing. It's not just a tweet at someone anymore. It's not just a Facebook post on a wall. It can get to DMs. It can get to, people can get phone numbers. It can get to dangerous levels. So
they can swap your house.
Yeah, and there's always people that are willing to go too far over something that's minuscule, and you really have to worry about that. And that's something that we look for a lot, and not just esports, in all sports. With March Madness going on, it's a perfect example. It's just you have to realize some of these guys are 18, 19, 20 years old, so pretty interesting.
Yeah, definitely want to make sure everyone's safe and secure. Shifting topics a little, in the earlier panel today, they were talking about getting someone like Drake and having him coming and betting on your property, and how that is going to evolve. And so, how do you see that relationship between influencers and followers evolving? What does this have? Does everyone need to go get Drake? I mean, they can't. So, how do they figure that out?
Well, I think the real people is really important. I know Drake and PewDiePie and all of them will be important too, but they change. Those people will definitely change, ebb and flow. I'm not trying to be Mr. Beast. I'm going to be Slot Bunny, and people will like that about me. And I don't know if I'd always want to watch Mr. Beast.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest examples you can give in that is, cable TV has followed kind of the same path in sports for so long, and a lot of the commentators that you have for these major sports are all ex-players, some of the old guys that, were popular guys when they played, and sure, a lot of them still listen to what they say, and they obviously have sharp opinions, but just like Slot Bunny said, there's always a unique demographic for every game, for every style of esport that won't like that, and there will always be people that are looking for different, unique opinions, and just having different content on will always be popular. And I think that's what some of these leagues and some of these esports need to kind of figure out is, sure, there is definitely a popularity in seeing former players talk about it, but there's also, not everyone who was a professional, not everyone wants the high level thinking. People want some more fun. People want some less, betting stuff and more, fun. And you see that in pro sports. I think casinos need to adopt that as well. But, to go back to something earlier you said, to get people into casinos, I think you're seeing events like TwitchCon, giveaways, unique ways to gain new fans. It's an ever-changing market, and I think some of these casinos need to step outside what's worked the past couple decades and see, like, look, we need to think outside the box a little bit more in some of these situations.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think, and this is a little bit more my vision of the future, but since we're talking about that, like Tim the Tatman versus Drake type thing, eventually I see that where, they already have their crowds, they're putting bets together, why wouldn't their audiences just bet with them, right, in these environments? And, what kind of things would we need to do? I know your CEO talked about, following this straight line path from sports to esports to get it legalized, but now as we're talking more, it doesn't seem like that's the exact case. What do you kind of think about some of the nuances that need to take place to get to that level where, I get to bet with Drake or Tim the Tatman or one of these influencers, or maybe I get to bet with Slot Bunny on her slot machines?
Actually, I'm going to be in a slot machine. I do have breaking news. I will be in a slot machine.
There you go. So.
It's a photo. It's a photo. It's not Slot Bunny, though. I entered a contest. It's a Slot Bunny photo.
So just talking, I think that the Drake example is a pretty good one. He's someone that a lot of people like, and even if you don't enjoy a video game that Drake likes, or a sporting event that Drake likes, just because you like Drake's music, you might be interested in taking a bet that he might, obviously not for the amount that he had it, but Drake has it, why not? It's something that we follow very closely, and obviously sports books and operators love that stuff, but one of the major downfalls of that is some of Drake's fans don't have legal betting accounts, and some of Drake's fans can't get legal betting accounts. So that, again, another innocent thing. He's placing a bet, but therefore maybe a handful of people are putting their first illegal betting out there, which is not a good trend to set. I think the ways we can kind of combat this is, although Drake's getting massive payments from some of these offshore books, he needs to realize that this is not an acceptable thing. He needs to have integrity for his fan base. I think it's partially on him to realize that he's putting some of his fans at risk with some of these decisions he makes. And although it's not a life or death decision, that for him, addiction is a real thing for some of these people, and he doesn't know who he's affecting with some of these decisions. So I think that some of these companies that do work with influencers can sort of combat this with working together on this, and kind of even with the offshores, and seeing like how we can kind of come to a decision that, look, the demographic that Drake is going after should not be signing up to make these bets and things like that. They should have no influence.
I agree with you, Ben. I get contacted a lot for partnerships and working with people and companies to be spokesperson, especially the start of the year and everybody's got their marketing budget. Well, right now I'm just being bombarded with online casinos, Bitcoin, and they're looking for me to host events, run events, tag on to events after my live stream, just all kinds of things. But they're offshore, they're not reputable, and I don't want to lead any follower to them. So I turn them down, and I actually have a couple that won't take no for an answer, and they're just trying, and it's just like, what? You know, but yeah, you just got to be really picky with what you work with.
And just to kind of piggyback on that, honestly, the unfortunate reason is that they can offer more to some of these influencers is because they're not paying the correct taxes, they're not paying for the correct odd fees that legitimize sports. And you know, that's why some of these offshores get, you know, there's esports events that are what we call past posting. They'll have a noon start on their offshore account, but the match really started an hour prior, and people hit them for a lot of money. But that is such a rarity in some of the major legal sports books in America, because they have the correct data and things you need put in place to avoid these mistakes. There's a lot of steps that are not taken by offshores that are absolute necessities to run a legitimate online legal business.
Yeah, and with that last one, get a little spicy on the last comment, because we're in a state where there isn't sports betting. So what do you do? Want to bet?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. So obviously with the repeal of PASPA a decade or so now, we've seen a pretty solid expansion of sports betting in America. But like you said, there are still major states with millions and millions of population that just still don't have it. So it's a tough one, because it's, you know, the real people that want to bet in these states, they don't really have many options. There's VPNs to go offshore, but you know, there's real risk involved in some of this stuff, and I think a lot of people consider it as almost a normality these days to do it, and it's a real bad trend to set, because it's, you know, there's just so much that can go wrong for both the consumer and the company. So, you know, it's really tough in a state like California. I know I was at the panel yesterday with talking about tribal bringing retail back in 2026, hopefully. I think the correct plan is to maybe not rush it. It's obviously going to take some time to get it right. And 2026, you need to get your ducks in a row and really hit this out of the park, rather than just trying to cut corners and do things not. There's states that you can go by that did it correctly, and if you want to follow them and you see historic tax revenue and things that positive that come out of it, I think it could be a real benefit to California in 2026, 2028.
Yeah, or you can watch people like Spot Bunny play and kind of live vicariously, or you can check out social casinos like SPARKET. So thanks everyone for your time, and I think Ari's coming up. And so thanks everyone for staying to the end, and appreciate you all.
TheSlotBunny.com. Make sure to stop by.
Thank you so much to everybody that joined us today, all of our panelists, all of our moderators, everybody that contributed. This is communally run. I count on everybody, and I appreciate your attendance at the event. I'll see you all next year. Thank you so much. Thanks, John.
Thanks for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Hey, if you have some time, why don't you watch some Slot Bunny? More Slot Bunny all the time. And you know what? I really recommend that one, of course, and even better, that one too. So drop me a like, let me know what you love and even what you don't. I want to hear it. Okay, bye guys.